Welcome to the webinar presented by the Learning Space in partnership with Cisco. I would like to, at this juncture, continue to encourage everyone to stay safe, especially during this pandemic, so that we can stop the spread of the COVID-19. The Learning Space, a Transform Africa company in partnership with Cisco, presents the lecture or the topic of cybersecurity and remote work. Introducing the Learning Space. The Learning Space is a world-class African-based inspired learning space for creatives and innovators in the ICT space. We want to position and grow Africa's industry and economy through technology. We offer specialized professional training and certification across various OEMs. Trainings like security, cloud, DevSecOps, routing and switching, programming, just to mention a few. Introducing Cisco. Cisco helps seize the opportunity of tomorrow by proving that amazing things can happen when you connect the unconnected. An integral part of Cisco DNA is creating long-lasting customer partnerships, working together to identify customer needs and providing solutions that fuels their success. Cisco has preserved this keen focus on solving business challenges since its founding in 1984. Some of Cisco's solutions include networking, software, Internet of Things, mobility, security, cloud, collaboration, data center, just to mention a few. Introducing our panelists, and I would like to thank our panelists for taking the time out to having this discussion with us today. Introducing Sultan Sanusi. Sultan Sanusi is a cybersecurity specialist for Cisco. He is presently the cybersecurity sales specialist for Cisco East and West Africa. He holds a master's degree in computer systems and network from Donetsk National Technical University, Ukraine. He has over 6 years of experience in security and technology industry, including experiences in service provider, system integrators, and OEM vendors. Introducing Abdulaziz Saidu. Abdulaziz Saidu is a technical and business leader with 20 years of experience in the ICT industry. He is presently the head of system engineering at Cisco West Africa, leading the technical operation in the region and driving projected revenue through a team of highly talented engineers. His experience cut across various verticals, including telecoms, energy, financial services, and public sector. We are proud to note that he is a mentor who has driven change in the perspective about engineer as being fixer to business architect that provides business solution to business needs. He is also a business architect and leading with digital transformation in different industries. Again, welcome to all our panelists and also welcome to our attendees. Introducing the topic, again, cybersecurity and remote work. A simple way and easy way to secure remote workers at the speed and scale of your business. This is a very important topic in a very crucial time. With more and more people working around the world remotely from home, it is crucial that we ensure that all our devices and data are protected from malicious attack. This is very, very important right, it's very, very important that we discuss this topic today. And we even continue to deliberate in the future. The agenda for today are the following. We will take a presentation by Sultan Sanusi on cybersecurity and remote work. Then we will then follow this with a panelist discussion. Afterwards, we would open this up to Q&A session, and then we would close. Again, thank you. My name is Kabiru Muhammad Aliu. I am the founder of Transform Africa and the Learning Space. Again, thank you for being here. I would at this juncture hand over to Sultan Sanusi. Thank you all and welcome.
Thanks, Kabiru. Just confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, I can. Thank you, Sultan.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the invite and introduction, and welcome to the attendees. Welcome to this webinar on secure remote work. I mean, we are all now remote workers. I mean, we found that it's not by design, I would say, but it's by circumstance, right? But we're going to make the best, right, of this. I want to trust that you all listening to me are staying safe, and you and your families are safe from this pandemic. And as Kabiru mentioned earlier, keep maintaining the guidelines by the government: social distancing, constant cleaning of your hands. I see someone is saying he can't hear me very well. Kabiru, can you hear me well?
Yes, Sultan, I think you can just increase the volume of your voice.
Okay. So, yeah. So,
yeah.
As I said, we need to maintain the government's guidelines on remote, we need to maintain government guidelines on staying safe, constantly washing our hands, social distancing, and hopefully this goes away. This pandemic goes away soon. So to the purpose of this webinar, secure remote work. Before I go further, can you confirm the audio is better, Kabiru?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. So, I mean, the times are changing, as you can see from the slide there, or the times are changing and have changed, right? This is the new normal, as I'm sure as you guys must have heard in different communications, right? I don't think any of us is going to go back to business as it used to be. So this is the new normal. So it's best that we make the best of this situation, right? And what is the situation, right? Just a few months ago, right? Most people, especially in this region, worked from an office, right? And we are protected by tools and different solutions that were based in the office, and enabling them to work from their office, right? So most of those solutions, which in this case we call perimeter solutions, were based in an office, protecting users that sit inside a controlled environment, right? Remote work was not really something that is big here. I think the adoption of remote work before now, I would say, is less than 5% of the workforce for Nigeria, right? Because remote work is not seen as it's a new trend here. But now with COVID, right, everyone has been forced to stay at home, and most businesses are looking at what they can do to be productive, right, while users are working from home. As I mentioned, there was a perimeter in the office. Hello. Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. There was a perimeter, right, in the office protecting users, right, that sit in an office. Now, all the users are sitting at home, right? So the perimeter now has gone home, basically. So each individual laptop is now the new perimeter, right? And as you can see from the deck, the new tools have been introduced for communicating and sharing information. While of the company, IT teams have delivered and are providing what is necessary with what is available, right? We know a lot of people, a lot of customers, both big and small, did not budget for remote work solutions, right? So a lot of people are having to do with what they have currently and what they can get for free for a limited period, right? And now that I think as the reality has set in that this is going to be the new normal, we need to find a way to protect the new perimeter, which is each individual laptop connecting with a unique, with different connectivity, and most organizations now have lost control of the security of their network. They don't know who is coming in. They cannot say for sure who is coming in. They cannot say for sure what they're accessing, both on premise and in the cloud, and that just leaves a new world of I mean, what the investments have been made that have been made in the past are not adequate to help our users with this new way of working, right? I could go to the next slide, please. Right. So security considerations for remote workers. One of the very first information there is 1% of breaches involve compromised credentials, right? Let me try to explain this a bit further. Compromised credentials is, I was listening to a webinar sometime this week, and it has been said most hackers right now they don't hack their users anymore. They simply log into their devices. What this means is that most of our users are using compromised credentials, right? We've seen in different research that most users will use the same password, the same username, or in the corporate environment, and use those same passwords on social media, right? Use those same passwords for banking, because it's easy to remember one password, right? I, as a person, I use a password manager to manage most, because the guideline, the best practice is every application or service that you access should have a unique password. You should not reuse passwords, right? But we have seen that our users, this is very difficult for most users, especially those who are not technology savvy. This is very difficult for them to do. And the fact still remains that if I have a username, if I have someone's username and password, I'm as good as that person, right? When it comes to the network, I can log in and I can have the same rights as that person, as that individual has, right? And this is one of the main challenges we're seeing with customers right now, especially with these new remote working environments. Like previously, we're able to somehow manage this with some of their on-premise solutions, right, with network access control and the likes. But nowadays, while those solutions are not as the perimeter has moved to each laptop, that is not, it's more difficult for them to see who is coming in and to validate that this person that is logging in with these credentials is who he says he is and not an imposter, right? In our last CISO benchmark study, mobile devices have become challenging to defend, right? Most people are coming in with not with their own personal devices. You need to know what kind of, you don't know if the device has been jailbroken, if the device is running the latest operating system patch, has an antivirus. Literally, you don't know who is coming into your environment, right? And you have no control over that, right? And and you can see this is 27% of organizations are using multi-factor authentication, right? Multi-factor is supposed to be a solution that helps customers to be able to validate the authentication of a user coming in, right? As the example I gave earlier, a username and a password, right? You need to have like a token, right? So that knowing fully well that if the username and password is compromised, right, the person is able to able to add a level of security with the multi-factor authentication token. And you can see from here, most a lot of, and this is something global, right? I'm sure if we run this for Nigeria, this percentage is going to be very low, right? The adoption of multi-factor authentication solution in the workplace and for work applications is quite low. I think where we have a high adoption is in internet banking, right? But we need to know that just protecting our accounts is not enough. We need to protect our sensitive information, which is the data we use to work with, and our credentials. Can you go to the next slide, please? Right. So one of the key things, right, in the remote in securing the remote worker is the endpoint. As I said, that's where most activities are carried out. That is the perimeter. We need to have we need to be able to secure the devices that the users are coming into the environment with, whether it's a corporate issued device issued by the company or it's a device that is owned by the user. We need to be able to know what kind of device is coming into that environment, right? We see in some cases desktop systems are sent home with employees, right? In some other cases, the employee uses their personal devices. The goal here is, irrespective of the kind of device coming into the environment, you need to have multiple layers of security, right? Or at the endpoint layer to be able to give you more protection. As I mentioned earlier, the security protections you have in the corporate network are not enough to help remote users right now, right? Most of a lot of customers' emails and applications sit in the cloud, and now there's direct internet access to that cloud from any location. So most traffic can actually go straight to the cloud and come back without the user, without the organization knowing what is going on, because the traffic does not have to go through the data center anymore. So we need to have enough layers of security. The fact is, endpoint security is not enough. Having an anti-malware is not enough, right? You need to have multiple layers of security, which we'll get into, to be able to protect our users as they connect remotely. And these solutions have to be help the users to be productive, right? They have to help the users to be productive. So as this slide also goes, it is likely that some devices are not compliant with organization security policies, right? All devices with access to company resources should be fully patched, as I mentioned, right? Logins should be enabled, and you should log. You should have an idea of who is coming in, and what kind of device they're coming in with, what time are they coming in, what location, right? We have seen scenarios where people are using, if I log in from Lagos, I'm currently based in Lagos. If I log in from Lagos and then 5 minutes later, I'm trying to log into another application from China or from Russia or from Iran, that is a potential security breach, because it is physically impossible for me to be in Lagos and to be in any of those locations I mentioned within a 5 minutes period, right? So the chance is it's a remote, it's a malicious user trying to use my credentials to come into the environment. So we need to put more attention on endpoint security, add as many layers as possible to endpoint security. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, then the next slide, after securing the endpoint, we need to have visibility into the software, right? As I said, most users, most enterprises now, some of their applications and software sit on premise, some sit in the cloud. Most organizations now run a hybrid environment. For example, your email can be in the cloud, Office 365. You might have some custom built applications online. Your CRM could be in the cloud with Salesforce, right? And you need to be able to see who from the point of view of the application, who is coming into this application, who is trying to log into this application. Is it someone that is is it an employee that has the right credentials that's coming to log in? And even when the person has logged in, what is the authorization level of this user? That is one. And the second part of sanctioned software is what we call shadow IT, right? And a lot of data breaches have happened with employees using on shadow IT. Basically means applications that have not been approved by the enterprise, and customers using those applications in the cloud. For example, somebody wants to merge two PDF files together. I'm sure some of some of the attendees will have seen this before. You want to merge two files, right? And you don't have Adobe. The Adobe you have is the free version, right? Meaning you're looking for a free solution to help you merge two files together, two different PDF files, right? If you go online, you're able to see different solutions giving it to you for free. But the question you have is when you send your file, because what they ask is you send your files to the cloud, they merge it and send it back to you. But the question now is, do you know do you know if they retain a copy of those files? Do you know if they send if the PDF they are sending back to you has a malicious backdoor or a malicious script that is hidden and that is or a keylogger whose purpose is to come in and get more information about your environment. So shadow IT is a big threat and it's a big risk. And as most users are coming in from unprotected internet providers, we need to have good idea of, number one, the applications that are permitted, right? Are the users, are the right people coming in? Do they have the right authorization? Secondly, we need to limit users from using unsanctioned applications, or in the middle, to hit the middle ground. The company needs to have visibility into this. You need to identify the software needs of your employees and limit the ones that they do not, and limit them from accessing applications that they are not meant to access. We need to set policies around software sanction for employee use. Software should be fully patched and up to date. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, then another aspect of remote work is the connection, right, to the corporate network. There's a tendency for us to use the default connectivity in most of our endpoint solutions. For example, trying to use RDP to come into the environment, right? In this junction, because of this where we find ourselves now, using RDP is not. RDP is good when you're in a secure corporate environment, right? You are inside the perimeter. You can use RDP because you have a higher level of trust for the person that is coming into, or the remote desktop you are logging into, or the person that's logging into you. And not just RDP. There's also TeamViewer, right? We need to be, but once we are outside the perimeter, we need to limit remote access to only approved applications. For example, a VPN application like AnyConnect, right, is issued to every individual device. So anyone coming into the corporate network has to come through that application, right? And AnyConnect adds layers of encryption and also multi-factor authentication to be sure the person of the user coming into the environment. So you need to limit the use of free remote access applications and solutions. Next slide, please. Kabir, next slide, please. Sorry. Go back one slide. There was a delay from my end. Yes. So commenting to the corporate network, I mentioned we need to use what's it called? We need to use approved applications like a VP, like AnyConnect, right? AnyConnect would help you to, as I mentioned, connect, add the layers of encryption so that traffic going from the user to either to the cloud or to the data center is encrypted. If there's and that will limit the threat of man-in-the-middle attacks, right? It adds the level of it improves level of authentication so that you don't have people credential theft like happening in environments, right? And that's the second point, multi-factor authentication to ensure that users are validated. Then use a VPN to securely connect to the corporate network from the outside, right? Next slide, please. I see I have about 5 minutes left. Then the next point for remote work is scam awareness, or as some of you are aware, is phishing. I would ensure that Kabiru shares these links with everyone on this call. So another thing we have realized is that there is a lot of attacks coming to from bad actors, right? Trying to get users' credentials, right? For example, a lot of countries, right, are giving some form of palliatives to their citizens, right? I've heard of stories in the US, in the UK, in most of those countries, and what we have seen is attackers are using all that information to be able to harvest users' credentials. For example, someone sends you a phishing email, right, telling you that, oh, the country, they want to enroll you into the federal government COVID-19 palliative scheme. Please put in your bank details in this app or click this link, right? What they're trying to do is to get what's it called, your credentials, right? And how can organizations help themselves in this scenario, right? One of the things, this is for organizations and also for users, one of the things they can do is to ensure that there's what we call awareness training. So please go back to that previous slide. There has to be some level of awareness training, right? You need to keep educating the user, right? That you don't just click any link that you see. And also, if you see any link that's suspicious, you should be able to send it to either to the so if send it to like an incident response team, right? Either it is to the company or as a service, whereby they can help you to investigate the link, right, and see if it's a phishing link, and also help the customers and helps to spread the awareness of kind of links that come, information that is coming in from phishing sites, right? And then also this is another place where multi-factor thrives, right? Because what multi-factor does is, even if your credential is compromised, there's another factor, which is most likely a token or an app on your phone that the attacker needs to have for him to be able to get access to your environment, right? So phishing awareness and adding multiple layers of security would help us with all the new types of scam we are seeing right now. Next slide, please. So so as a wrap up, right, this is just like a broad integrated secure remote worker solution, right? Before I go further, I need to stress that this is not the silver bullet. This is just a way to help our customers, because I realize a lot of people on the call, some are large enterprises, some are small businesses, and some are SMEs, and some are small businesses, right? So this is like the first step, right, to adding multiple layers of security to your remote workers, right? You need to have, as I said, connectivity to the corporate network and also to corporate cloud applications. Has to be done through a very robust VPN solution that has very strong encryption and also leverages a multi-factor authentication, right? And then there's, as I mentioned, you have to have multiple layers of security on the endpoint. Endpoint security is not enough. Anti-malware is not enough. You need to have a solution that sits at the DNS layer and sees internet traffic going in and out and protects the user proactively from bad sites, right? So if a user is trying to hit a bad site, you need a solution like Cisco Umbrella that sees the destination where it's going, basically looks at the DNS IP, it looks at the IP address of, it looks at the DNS, right, of where the user is trying to get to, right? And then if it's a known bad destination, it drops that traffic, right? It enhances the functionality of your endpoint security solution, right? And another thing that can do for our users or our staff is it proactively stops them if, for example, you have ransomware in your environment, right? One of the key things ransomware does after spreading inside the environment is to go out to command and control to download encryption keys. This is where Umbrella comes in, right? Assuming that the endpoint security has failed and allowed the malware to go into the system, at the point it's trying to go to command and control and get encryption keys, Umbrella is able to see that traffic, see the destination is a command and control server, and drop that traffic and alert the administrators, right? This is proactive defense that enhances the security of the endpoint devices, and then all these are tied together in Duo. Duo is a multi-factor authentication solution that helps you to trust the user that is trying to log into your environment. Next slide, please. Yes, so these are just links. These are just links to the solutions we've already discussed here. You have AnyConnect, is a VPN solution, right, for remote connectivity. You have Duo Security for multi-factor authentication. You have Cisco Umbrella, right, to protect users as a first layer of defense, right, for internet traffic going in and out, as most people are using different types of internet providers, right? And you also have Cisco ARM for endpoint, which is an endpoint detection and response solution, right? It complements endpoint security offering, right? And helps more mature organizations to be able to do higher levels of detection and response into the kind of events that go on inside the corporate environment, right? You can, I'm sure Kabir would share this slide with all. You can all go and click on these links, get more information, and can always reach out to us for more information or custom solution for your unique pain points. So I think that's yeah. I think that's all from me for now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sultan. Thank you for bringing our attention to several security issues and also solutions. Security is all our concern and our responsibility, and we believe that we need to continue to protect our identity, especially now that all of us on this call have a digital identity that needs to be protected on all the time, because as Sultan says, there's a man in the middle that is just waiting to tap from any doors or any loophole that you leave behind. So basically, thank you very much, Sultan, for that. And I hope that the audience can start asking questions in the Q&A. Now we are going on to the panelist discussion. Basically, we'll be asking a few number of questions to the panelists. So starting from Sultan again, I'm not going to give Sultan time to rest. So basically, how would you handle cyber risk coming from third parties or third party applications and third parties in general? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So I'll try to summarize this point. Basically, you can't go wrong with visibility, right? If it's an application, you need to trust the source of the application, first of all, right? For example, if it's a third-party application, if it's a mobile application, it has to come from a trusted source, that is from an app store. It shouldn't be something that can be side-loaded into, that can be sideloaded into a phone and used. You need to be able to trust the source of where it's coming from, and then you need to have a level of visibility into the kind of data it is collecting. We all do this, right? Where an application is asking for, especially on Android, asking for wanting access to so many different things. For example, a camera application asking for access to your messages, right? Access to your browser, access to your contact lists, right? It's supposed to be a camera application. We need to be more vigilant, right? So the kind of access we give to third-party applications, that's one. And then third-party vendors, right? For much more larger organizations that work with third-party vendors, you need to do due diligence, right? You need to know what kind of policies do they have, right? For information security, what kind of are they storing more information that they need, right? For example, if it's not a payment vendor, right? Are they storing payment information, right? Are they follow based on guidelines? What frameworks do they follow for payments? Are they following PCI DSS? Are they following all the ISO guidelines? Are they following NIST? Are they following the ones from NISTA or from the central bank, right? We need to have visibility into that. It's a bit more work, but it's something we need to do to be able to know who we are doing business or what application we're doing business with. And then as they come into your environment, the security policies that apply to your users should apply to them also, right? If they're coming into your environment, if they don't have multi-factor authentication for remote logins, you need to enforce that for them. There should not be a separate policy for remote for contractors in this case, right? In this case, even their policy needs to be more strict, right? They need to have their own in access control, their own like organizational units, right? Whereby you have limited their authorization levels inside the network, right? And all this information is coming from historical evidence, right? Target was attacked by the target breach that we all read about was carried out by a compromised endpoint from a HVAC supplier, right? That's people that repair their air conditioning, right? It was a third party. He came into the environment with a compromised system, and through that person, it was the bad guys are able to come into the target network and wreak so much havoc. I'm sure you guys must have heard about it. It was really big a couple of years ago, right? So third party risk is very important. It's very real, and it has to be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sultan, for that and for that explanation. And you are absolutely right in terms of third-party application, and we need to make sure that we take that responsibility of verifying, the application that we are allowing our organizations or you are using as an individual. Because absolutely, when something happens, for example, in the case of your identity being taken, the banks will tell you, for instance, your security is your responsibility and what you do remains your responsibility. So it's very important that we take it because we do not have much option than to be digital, especially at these times, and even as the world continues to evolve with artificial intelligence and with machine learning and all that thing that we need to do, even with telemedicine, so we need to, be open to the digital world. But once we are there, we need to make sure that we protect ourselves very well. So thank you very much, Sultan, for that. That was powerful, explanation. And I hope the questions are coming in from a Q&A perspective. So guys, please bring it on. Let's take a few questions when we get to the Q&A discussion. So I'm now moving on to the second question. I'm not sure if Abdul is there, but the question is, how can organizations ensure that their staff always have cybersecurity in mind?
Yes, thanks. Could do this. To be honest, a lot of enablement and information sharing is very, very critical to this. And what we do is this: the very simple step we always take is we have a weekly exercise, just like the fire drill you have in offices. We have a weekly exercise whereby emails are sent as if you're receiving an email from Cisco itself, and we tend to figure out how many people will fall victim to clicking at the wrong links on the phishing email. And to be honest, no matter how many times you do it, you still get people falling victim for that. So and when that happens, your penalty is you're going to take a security course. So we have like a short security course we run for people who fail to realize that they are clicking on a phishing email. You will see it is as real as the Cisco email, but the whole essence and objective is for every user to be very critical and careful when he reads and opens an email. When you see the subject of an email, look out for words that are pretty unfamiliar, and so that has been working for us. So it goes beyond you having advanced malware protection on your laptop, or you have multi-factor authentication for emails. Now, it goes beyond all that. With emails, we've seen a lot of vulnerabilities coming from that angle, not even outside, but even within Nigeria, a whole lot of our customers have had that. Just one simple mistake from a staff of an organization can cause severe financial damage to that institution. So I hope that answers that question, Kadir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's very important, the point you touch around the revenue implication, because security is not just the fact that one individual is breached. I think it's the potential collateral damage that is done as a result of that breach. So I think it's very important that we note that security, again, is our responsibility. And in some organizations, there is an implementation of ISO 27001 which is your information security, where each employee has to acknowledge that the fact that they have read the policies and they understand the impact should in case that they are exposed. So it's very important that we protect our phones, lock our applications, because once even the criminals are also very very savvy now. So when they take your phone, they are able to do a lot more on your phone and to cause a whole lot of damage if you have not done protection. And also, it's also important to activate your wipe device policy or your wipe your device on your phone. I know a number of all these operating systems for these OEMs allow you to for these phones allow you to wipe your data and protect your data. So very, very powerful point, Abdulaziz. Thank you very much for that. We'll be moving now to the third question, which is what is your advice to anyone interested in venturing into the career in cybersecurity? So this question is for Sultan. Sultan, please help us with this response. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Kabiru. This is a very interesting question for me, because I have had people just starting out in IT reach out to me and ask me the same question. So I've had some time to think about this. And what I would say is cybersecurity is vast, right? Security is wide, right? And you cannot go wrong with understanding the basics, right? Start from the basics. Always start from the basics. I myself started with A+. I don't know if you know A+, Network Plus, right? Understanding the basics of networking, understand the basics of IT, right? And then you can now graduate into more associate level courses, right? You can't go wrong with courses, but you need to make sure you don't have, you need to have a direction before focusing on certification, because you could get lost doing so many different types of certification. You need to have like a direction, but always start with the basics, right? Because every other thing is going to, it's going to pile up on top of that, right? And so the field, because I am into polytechnical sales, right? So there's a bit of sales, there's a bit of technical, and there's a bit of marketing. But there are different tracks for different people. So first of all, and if you start from the basics, right, you would start understanding which side of cybersecurity you have more passion for, because it's the passion that will keep you there when you have to read long hours into the night, you have to do so many courses, you have to spend money on certification. If that passion is not there, it's easy for you to lose the interest. I know so many people who have started so many different courses, not just security. Some people are saying, oh, I want to learn Oracle DBA because it was the in thing at the time, but the passion was not there. They started, some even paid, and they did not follow through. So another thing that the basics will do for you to help you to find out where is your passion. Once you find out your passion, then you're able to now put more energy into it. So when I did A+ and Network Plus, it was then I knew that, okay, security was what I wanted to do, right? And I started gravitating into security solutions. Even when I was not working in security, I always had security in mind in everything that I was doing. So start with the basics, and it would help you to gravitate into where your passions lie. And also attend webinars, listen to podcasts, just know what is going on out there, right? Because technology is constantly changing. I'm sure as we're speaking, something new is coming out. But I'm sure at the end of this call, once we check the news, we see a new technology, new solution, new idea coming out. So always listen to podcasts, always attend webinars as often as you can, just to keep yourself abreast. Yeah.
So just to add to what Sultan said.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add. So just to add to what Sultan said, interest is pretty important. You have to be interested, one, and you don't have to be vendor specific. I'll give an example. I think one key certification, if you want to start looking at certification, is to look at doing the CEE, Certified Ethical Hacker exam. It is very, very key. In that way, you can look at how to manage and tackle exploits. You can simulate stuff. So it's not, and one other key advice is it's not all about just certifications. You have to be able to create scenarios, break things down, fix them back up, and learn the basics of networking. It's not about you being a security specialist. You have to, and with the next generation engineers that we're having in the world these days, you have to put programmability in mind. Start playing around things like Python. You don't have to start learning C++. No, beyond that. You don't have to be that skilled in learn the very basic programming skills like Python, which you can use to maybe automate stuff and play around the network. So that's my 20 cents. Thanks, Sultan.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Abdul. Yeah, thank you very much, Sultan and Abdul, for that positioning of this question. I think for me, I've picked out a number of things. Your passion is very important. The same token, your interests, some of the certification to look at, certified ethical hacker, and you spoke about automation. And I think automation is very, very powerful in the sense that businesses need to rapidly deploy solutions and services. And that's where you now begin to have concepts like DevSecOps, where you're automating your infrastructure or the deployment of your infrastructure using code. So welcome you to continue to develop your interest. So moving on to the next question, I would like Abdul to start on this question, Abdulaziz to start on this question. What is the future of cybersecurity? How would AI and machine learning affect cybersecurity? Thank you. Okay, Sultan, can you take the question?
Okay. Yeah. So the future of cybersecurity and how AI and machine learning affect cybersecurity. So AI, what I would say is from a product point of view, AI and machine learning is already with us, right? Most of the solutions that we buy now have AI embedded in it. And I'll give you a good example, right? If you want to, solutions that do behavioral analysis, trying to predict user behavior, are doing that using some level of artificial intelligence, some level of machine learning to be able to predict user behavior, to be able to protect you from zero-day attacks, right? To be able to, for example, solutions that can something like Stealth Watch that knows my behavior on the network, right? So that when there's a deviation from that behavior, it can raise an alert and try to say, okay, this is the user. He comes in at 9 o'clock. He signs in from either Lagos or Abuja, and he does so. It knows my profile, right? So if there's any deviation from that profile, it's able to say, okay, hold on, this user is normally downloads uses about 1 or 2 gig of downloads every week, right? But in this day, we are seeing about 10 gig of downloads, right? Is he a malicious insider, right? Or is there a malicious insider using his machine to carry out havoc? So machine learning is being used there, and we are just so. And we are going to see more of machine learning and artificial intelligence being implemented into so many of our security solutions going further, right? Because we want to go from the point of being restrictive and being preventive to be able to predict to the predictive part of security, right? Let us predict what's going to happen and then protect the user from what is potentially going to happen in the future, right? So from a predictive standpoint, we have AI and machine learning being heavily used in the industry. And also big data. Big data has not been added here. Big data also. So I'll say AI, machine learning, and big data are the future of our cybersecurity products and solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Go ahead.
So just to add, it's not just your products or solutions. You have to look at the enterprise. How does machine learning and artificial intelligence help to make your network reactive, to make your network be able to attend to teaching troubleshooting problem you have? I mean, we have something called the DNA Center, which we have in our enterprise network that does all of that. And you have to always remember that Cisco has been in this business for quite a long time. And what we did with DNA Center was we had a repo of all cases reported to our technical operations center, our TAC. Thereby, and all that has been built into a solution whereby AI and machine learning was put into place, such that when you have issues on your network, there are certain things that you will start doing manually that has been automated for you, and that is only possible with AI and machine learning. And to add to this from a security perspective too, we have what we call Talos, TALOS. It's Cisco's let me call it global SOC, whereby to be honest, we tend to find out about most of the viruses a week or two before most vendors do. Why is that? Because I mean, all our devices are kind of like sensors globally. I mean, virtually, there's this saying, I'm not bragging, but Cisco powers the internet. Yes. Most of the internet gears that you use to power the internet is being powered by Cisco. So the Cisco Talos, you can Google it, TALOS, is our kind of our own SOC. Won't be able to run as it runs without the presence of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it has come to stay. It's been in use. So it's not from a security perspective, both on your local network, in a data center, just name it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Talos, right? TALOS, and
yes.
It's Cisco Security Operation Center Solution, right? SOC. Thank you very much for that. We will now be moving to Q&A, and I will take a few questions quickly. I'll take a few questions quickly. So the first question that I will take here is, with the global growth in the work from home over personal devices using the internet access, what level of network security should users get their device on to avoid intrusion from criminals? So I think this question Sultan, can you take this question for us, please?
Yeah, yes. This question, I like this question, and I think it's from Kayode Aluko, and it just helps to summarize all that we've mentioned, right? First off, you need to have multiple layers of defenses on endpoint security now, right? What we used to have was multiple layers of defense at the network level and at the data center. And as the perimeter has moved to each individual endpoint, we need to now deploy endpoint security at each individual, multiple layers of security at each individual endpoint. So I'll just give a quick scenario, right? The question is, how do we protect personal devices using any internet access? What is the level of network security we need to add? So I'll just paint a generic stack, right? And first off is you need to have a signature-based antivirus. That's the starting, right? You need to have to protect against known attacks. You need to have endpoint detection and response, which is which our NConnect can give you both of them, right? And that is to protect you from unknown attacks, zero-day attacks, new attacks are just coming into your environment that there's no signature for. You need to have a VPN solution with very strong levels of encryption like NConnect that helps you, and you need to mandate that that's the only solution you use to log in remotely into your environment, right? So no other remote access is allowed apart from that, and that can be provided by NConnect. Then you need to add levels of multi-factor authentication on most of those for multi-factor authentication on any connect. So even when you are logging in, right, your network is able to trust that you are the one logging in because you have a token, right? At the point of logging in, you should enable multi-factor authentication on top of that, right? That's going into your network and going into cloud applications. You need to have what we call DNS security at that umbrella, right? That sees your internet traffic, the DNS traffic going in and coming out, right? DNS basically is DNS is a service that everybody uses. As long as you're going into the internet, you need DNS, right? We don't know DNS converts domain name to IP address. IP address is computer networking speak, is the language that the internet understands, right? We understand domain names, CNN.com, Cisco.com, and all that, right? But the DNS converts that domain name into an IP address, right? And what Umbrella is able to do is Umbrella, because as Abdel said, we power the internet, right? We have visibility into almost all the kind of traffic, both in the good internet and also in the dark web, right? So we're able to see the final destination of some of the traffic coming in. So even if that traffic is being originated by the user or by a bot, like a malicious malware inside the user system trying to access a malicious site outside, Umbrella is able to stop that traffic, right? So you don't only protect the activities going on inside the endpoint, you protect internet-based traffic going in and out of that endpoint. You can limit, and you can also use it to protect, because now most of the people as we're all working from home, the endpoints most people are using is not only the employee, probably the spouse, probably the children. It means we're able to protect them from the bad things that happen on the internet, and that is where Umbrella DNS has content filtering also to be able to protect the kind of content coming in to your environment. This is just at the endpoint level. We still need all our security solutions at the network level, right, to complement what the endpoint security is doing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sultan, for that question. We'll take one more question before we close off. This question reads as follows: Most websites do ask users to allow cookies when they visit them. Please, what is the implication? Does it put on users' data at risk? Can you talk more about cookies when surfing the web? Thanks. So again, just try and answer within a minute or time before we take the closing question. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Kabiru. So just the cookie question is a very I'll try to wrap it up in a minute or two. So what a cookie is when you go to the page, you have a preference, right? So there's a preference which you want the web page to be rendered, right? So basically, the cookie there is there to register your preferences as you surf the internet. So each site you have, we want to say the cookie on your environment, so that when next you come to that site, they're able to know you are the one you've been here before. These are the kind of things. For example, if you go to do internet shopping, right? The cookie there is to know the kind of things the kind of preferences you like on the site. For example, on Amazon, right? Okay, these are the kind of preferences you like, so that when you come back next time, it doesn't see you as a new user, right? So it has its benefits, but we have scenarios whereby most people abuse those cookies and then use those cookies to harvest information on the user. So my own policy, what I do is I have to. This requires a bit more work, but I go in and I disable cookies from storing permanent data on my browser, right? So meaning in some cases I will go through that rigor of having to re-log in every time I come in, meaning they are seeing me for the first time. Whenever I try to go to the same site again, right? It's a bit more difficult, a bit more challenging, but it's a bit more secure, right? It means if the cookie falls into the bad guy's hands, they really cannot tell who I was, how I came in. So you need to be able to. So that's for me as a personal policy. Another thing you can do is to see the kind of information the cookie is trying to get from you, right? You need to, if you go into your browser settings, you can go into each cookie and you can limit what the cookie is trying to do. For example, no cookie should have access to your microphone, right? No cookie should have access to your camera, right? No cookie should have probably basic access. Limit the access that each cookie is trying to have for you. I mean, that's those two things. If should be able to help us with security from a cookie perspective. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sultan. We have come to the end of our time now. I would like to thank everyone for participating in this webinar. We will try our best to answer the remaining questions and send you additional materials that would help you further. Thank you very much again, Sultan, for your time and for your presentation. Also, thank you to Abdulaziz as well, the head of engineering at Cisco. Thank you very much, everyone. I would like to leave you with this quote, right, from Dini Rometty, right? Cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world. Another quote that I would like to leave you with is from Tim Cook. If you put a key under the mat for the cops a burglar can find it too. Criminals are criminals are using every technology tool at their disposal to hack into people's accounts. If they know there is a key hidden somewhere, they won't stop until they find it. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Thank you. Cheers.